Okay, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me in housing and settlement. Now, this week, I'm going to brief you on a change to our evaluation method. So normally we would have a quiz at the mid of the a mid-semester quiz and an end of semester quiz and a presentation and an essay. Now, because because the vice rector for academics have instructed us to have a more project-based evaluation. So I've had to change our evaluation approach. So over the next 4 weeks, so from week 5, 6, 7, and week 8, we will engage in a class project to do a systematic literature review. What is this systematic literature review of? So first of all, it is group work, because systematic literature reviews usually involve a large number of references for you to review. Now, the aim is to contribute to housing and settlement body of knowledge, and other than that, also to evaluate your performance throughout the course. The objective of this class project is to publish 2 articles, because there are 2 groups. So 2 articles in Jurnal Permukiman, which is managed by the Ministry of Public Works. It is a nationally accredited journal. So and it is quite a high-ranked national journal. So the quality of the manuscript should be pretty high as well. Now, this is a nationally accredited journal. So another question would be, what about the publication language? Now, I know you are in the international undergraduate program, which is supposed to be conducted in English. However, seeing that we are publishing in a local journal, then I would suggest that we use Bahasa Indonesia for our publication. So the final output would be in Indonesian. 2 groups, 2 persons per group, because there's only so many of us. 2 project themes. So one group will focus on public-private partnerships for housing in Indonesia, and another group will focus on housing policy review. So for the PPPs, I've recently read a paper by Fell and Matson. It's a very recent paper, it was published in 2021, and they found that PPPs are unjust and they usually exclude local actors from collaborations. So my question, the big research question that we need to answer in this theme is, how is resident participation and inclusion in Indonesian housing context? So how do PPPs or how do PPP projects include not just residents, but also how do they involve all actors in housing, and how do they include these actors, and what roles do these actors play? For the housing policy review, well, we will have a look at how housing policies are formulated, and who are the actors included in the decision-making process.
You can use a feather with ink.
Okay. Now, we have a template for the manuscript. I have uploaded a template for the PPP, and a template for the housing policy review. In general, the manuscript or the template consists of the abstract, of course, which has to be written both in Bahasa Indonesia and in English, and then the introduction section, which I will be primarily responsible for, and then you will be primarily responsible for the methods, section. How many articles were retrieved, and how many articles were reviewed, in what language were the articles written, how were the articles reviewed using a systematic literature review approach, of course, and how was the systematic review executed? How did you conduct the systematic literature review? And then the results and discussion section, which we will have equal roles in there. You will report the key findings. What are the key findings? And then I will bolster those findings in reflecting how your findings relate with the article context. And then finally, conclusions. We will both have equal parts in the conclusions. We will restate our research aims. What were the aims of the paper? We will summarize the findings, and then we'll deliver 1 or 2 sentences on the research limitations. And finally, we will forward suggestions for future research, or for future similar investigations based on the research limitations and findings. So to summarize, my role will be to provide the context. I will primarily be responsible for the introduction section, and I will also help in formulating the reflections on findings, and then draw conclusions. Your role will be to report on the methodology, the methods section, report on the results, and then we will draw conclusions together. So we'll both have equal. We will both play an equal role in this project. Therefore, the number of authors per article is not 2, but 3. So I will be. So my name will be on the article as well as yours. Just to give you an overview, we have. Well, my portion of this course is still 4 weeks to go, and since this is a class project, so I've established a rudimentary project timeline. So we are now on the 4th, on March 4th, and so next week we'll develop an initial draft Um, in the initial draft, in the initial draft bit, you will report how many references or how many literatures have you collected. I think to help us with the collaboration, I'll set up a Google Drive folder. That way we can work on the documents together. We can work on the documents together in real time. So if you find references, you can put them in the reference folder. If I find additional references that may be of use, then I'll put it in the reference folder as well. Because other than the assignment folder, I'm not sure if you have access to edit any of the resource folders in Classroom. So I'll set up a Google Drive folder for us to collaborate on, and maybe even if need be, then we might use Google Docs to collaborate, or alternatively, sorry, or alternatively, we can use OneDrive. Personally, I prefer to use OneDrive because it is what ITS has provided me with. But yeah, if you're more familiar with Google Drive, then we can use Google Drive instead. And then on March 18th, 2 weeks into the project, you will report further development of the draft, and you can tell me if there's any difficulties, and we should have a draft of the results section by then. How many articles were reviewed, what languages were the articles in, and so on and so forth. And in the 25th of March, further draft development, where I should have bolstered your results, your findings, with some discussion, reflecting on the research aims and everything. And then in the first of April, that is the deadline for the manuscript submission in Classroom. So submit your manuscript, submit the final manuscript in Classroom. Hopefully by then, we will have already have a rough conclusion of some sort. So this is where your part in this project will end. I will continue to develop the two manuscripts prior to prior to sending it, prior to submitting it to the publisher. I may contact you further for administrative purposes. So, for example, for the copy to perhaps sign and fill out and sign the copyright transfer forms and that sort of things. So, what will be one thing I should remind you, that throughout the next 4 weeks, our class will be more of a, since this is a class project, so it will be more of a workshop kind of class. So yeah, where you share your findings with me, and and I share my progress with you as well. So in this sense, we play an equal role. So our position is not It's not strictly teacher-student kind of thing, but we're more on equal footings here. Since this is a since this is a part of the class evaluation or the course evaluation, I am currently developing the assessment criteria. If you happen to be if you happen to also be in urban management, then the assessment criteria is very similar to that, but there will be some subtle differences between housing and settlement and urban management. Because as you can see, the aspects that are being evaluated, the aspects that are being graded upon are slightly different. You're not introducing a case study here. You will be evaluated on the methodology section, the results, conclusions, and the use of references. As a special mention, a special point on the references bit. The journal does not accept any reference that is older than 5 years. So we will limit our references, the references that we cite to references from 2018, 19, 20, 21, and of course 2022. So the oldest article should be from 2018. Anything from 17, 16 and below, they will not accept. So I will not accept that as well. Sorry. The publishers have already provided us with a template. I have modified the template a little bit, just to put a tentative title. I did start tweaking the abstract last night, and so both versions of the template for the PPP and for the housing policy review themes I've already put up in Classroom. Just follow that template, and for the references, please use a reference management tool. If you're not familiar with it, I have provided a quick tutorial in Classroom for you to follow. If you're not familiar with critical critical literature review, then I have also provided a. If you're not, this is not critical literature review. This is not a critical review. This is a systematic literature review. If you're not familiar with what it is, then I have also provided a video and an introductory article for you to read, also in Classroom. So, but first of all, can I please have the group? Can I please have the group arrangements now, so that I can configure the groups in Classroom and we can get going. We can get going really quick. I know they're not. I know there are not a lot of you. There's only 4 of you, so that shouldn't be a big issue at all. As a matter of fact, let's see if okay. That's not what I want. Okay, so some of you have probably seen this already, the systematic literature review on housing and settlement. Now, this will take, this will be our mid-semester evaluation component. So I will consider our weekly workshop meetings as the weekly presentations, as the weekly presentations component, and then the draft that you'll submit, or the manuscript that you'll submit here on April 1st will be the essay component. So there are two components already, and that means the unit evaluation, the course evaluation is now at least 50% class project, which adheres to what the Vice Rector for Academics have instructed. So here here I provide you with some resources: conducting a systematic literature review, systematic literature reviews and introduction, which is an article to help you kickstart your review. If you're not familiar with Mendeley, here's the tutorial, Mendeley tutorial for beginners. Why am I enforcing Mendeley? Because the publishers have asked specifically to use that. You can have a look at the journal's webpage to see that they have explicitly stated for us to use Mendeley in drafting our manuscript. I provided you with the templates and a sample and some sample articles. In fact, it's not just sample articles that I provided you with, but it's a sample edition of the journal. It's the most recent edition of the journal. Actually, it's the October edition. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Now, as I mentioned, I will need the group decisions now. So while we're at it, can you please let me know who wants to partner up with who for group 1?
Okay, sir. For group 1, I think Laura and Lava.
Okay. Thank you. So this is a battle of the sexes kind of thing. Okay, that's fine. And so all the boys will be here. Oops.
Yeah.
Perfect. So you're all set up. Any questions or comments regarding this group project? No. Well, then I think there's another oh, hang on. There is another application that you can use to help you document and arrange, to help you search and document the references. I think I've mentioned this. I've mentioned this before. It's called so Housings Publish or Perish. You might have remembered me mentioning it once some time ago. The cool thing about POP is that you can search scientific databases, and it will retrieve. And once you have retrieved your results, you can export the results into Excel, all the document information plus the abstract as well. So you can review it using Excel, and you can have an article count as well. How many articles? How many are journal articles? How many are in Bahasa Indonesia? How many are in English? And so on and so forth. How many articles from what year and so on. So it's quite a versatile despite being very lightweight application. So I suggest you use that as well. I'll provide another tutorial link to another tutorial in Classroom for that. And perhaps even the download link where you can download the what's it called, the application from, and etc. So I hope I've equipped you with enough resources to kickstart. Yes. No. I hope I've equipped you with enough resources to kickstart this project. So this will be an interesting endeavor, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, any particular comments or questions? Okay, so if anyone happens to forget to mark their attendance, please do so. Okay. Look, if there are no further questions or comments, then I guess I'll leave you to it. You can start exploring the project resources, the project resources in Classroom, and I will set up the share folder. Or I will set up the share folder and provide the link in Classroom as well. Okay, great. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I do look forward to a very productive and very interesting 4 weeks ahead of us. So take care, everyone, and see you next week. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Okay, thank you, sir.